The following episode will contain spoilers. You have been warned.
You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Making new friends is hard. Making ones who don't try to rob and kill you is even harder. Amber and Scott discuss after watching Speak No Evil. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
People are scary.
Some people.
Yeah.
Usually tourists.
So this episode, we are talking about Speak No Evil. It's about a family invited for a weekend at an idyllic country house, a dream holiday that warps into a snarled psychological nightmare. OMG does it. Yikes.
Yeah, this one legitimately had me on the edge of my seat.
Yeah, it's scary to think that inviting new friends in your life could leave you destitute and murdered and your child with their tongue cut out.
Yeah, that was messed up to say the least.
Yeah, this whole film is very messed up. And basically the premise that we're going to be discussing today about what would you do, because that's what we do here at Cinema IRL, is the fact that this lovely family met another lovely family and was invited to their country home. And they decided to just do something fun and go and spend some time at the cottage. And it turns out that the people who invited them are crazy people who invite lots of people to the house.
Oh, they weren't crazy. They were very sane.
Yeah, messed up people.
They were messed up. They were definitely not crazy.
I don't know. But they invite families to their house that have a child and a couple, and they bring them out and they murder them, and then they steal their child and cut their tongue out so the child can't tell the next couple what's going on.
So I didn't get it clear from the end. Do they murder the previous child in the new family and then just keep the new child until the next family comes around?
That did appear to be the case, because when we looked at the scrapbook of past murdered families, it did seem to be that the last child wound up being the next child for the con, and so on and so forth, as they were looking to cut out the tongue of the young girl, and that seemed to be how their little racket went going before they have you sign over all your bank account and steal your money and kill you, and then they cut out your child's tongue. Very messed up people.
At least kill me first before you cut out my child's tongue. I don't want to have to see that.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, my line is a little bit different there. So what I think I'd like to explore here is new friendships, because this was a couple who were looking for some sort of escape and some respite, and they got an invite from a couple that they had encountered at a previous vacation destination. And they thought, should we, shouldn't we? And they're like, heck, why not? We deserve a breakaway to get out into the country and spend some time with some people and have some us time. That didn't work out so well.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I think if I'm in their position when I get the invite, before I seriously go, I mean, if it's people you don't know well and you're talking about spending multiple days at their place, I might just try to run like a quick, easy background just to see if I can get some information on them, because I feel like they might have been able to solve some of this through that, because my guess is there wasn't going to be any, and then you'd be really nervous and probably decline.
Yeah, so our characters here are the scary couple is Patty and Ciara, and our adventurous couple is Louise and Ben and their daughter Agnes, and the boy that's in residence at the house already, his name is Ant. So in today's day and age, certainly looking someone up, making sure that you knew who these people are before you go and visit, I think is certainly a good idea. I know I would do that. I also think too, examining whether or not you stay in someone's home is a very different dynamic. So going to spend time with people is one thing. Going to spend time with people in their home is another, because at that point, there is a social obligation to stick around, and that is what our main characters wound up encountering because they started to feel uncomfortable, and they did leave, and Agnes had left behind her support bunny,
Yeah.
stuffed support bunny, and they had to go back, and
Yeah.
Patty was angry.
Yeah, real quick here. What would you do? What would you do if your child left their stuffed animal behind,
Support bunny.
whatever you want to call it, at a house when you are pretty desperately trying to get out? I mean, like, they didn't know they were murderers yet, but they knew it was weird, and they definitely wanted the hell out. You tell that child, get over it. Sorry.
She was having quite a fit. They tried to tell her that,
Yeah,
and she would not have it. And so they did turn around. And when they turned around, and the thing was, is they snuck out really early in the morning. So when they turned around and then they bumped into Patty and Ciara, they had to obviously at that point have that awkward conversation of why they snuck out.
Yeah, if you're going to do that, when you leave that house, you're not going back. I don't care if you've left gold bars sitting there. Like, that's it. You're out. You're done. Because, for one, that's ridiculously awkward to deal with. Like, even
if they
murder is
were-
a sign.
Even if they were nice people, that's awkward.
So, yeah, that's the most Irish of Irish goodbyes. So, yeah, no. So, definitely, you have to put your foot down on that one. And if she throws a fit, and then she throws a fit. I mean, that's all there is to it.
And this goes back to the thing that is my recurring theme from film to film is staying at places that are out in the middle of nowhere, because when things got dicey later in the film, there was only a landline because they didn't have a cell signal. And when the couple tried to call for help, when Louise and Ben tried to call for help, Ciara had just cut the wire. And that no more landline, no more communication, and then you're out in the middle of nowhere. So what would I do? Number one, I'd be willing to explore new friendships and go out and stay in the country. That said, I think I would like to find a nearby bed and breakfast or something so I had the ability to not be there if I felt uncomfortable. Because once you lock yourself into that social contract of staying with somebody and it's not working out, I think most of us have been in that situation at some point where it is just uncomfortable.
Well, I think the problem in this case was, one, they just lived out in the middle of nowhere. So finding a B&B wasn't a great option. And two, it wasn't just down the road to go see them. Like, this was, they were going to have to make a big trip.
Yeah, I think it was like 7 hours or something that it took them.
So,
okay, so another, what would you do? So they go to the house, they stay in the house, they go to sleep that night, and Louise pulls back the sheet or the comforter, the blanket, and the sheet has a big stain on it. And I think I know I would be with Louise and saying, ew, yuck. But her husband, Ben, says, oh, there's probably just old stain sheets. Don't worry about it. And I think that was the beginning of, what's the, it's not creepy. It's just makes you kind of question who you're staying with.
Well,
if they invite you out for this getaway and they have dirty sheets. And now that we know what we know about Patty and Ciara, who knows what that stain is?
well, okay. So, I feel like this is something that you could generally pretty easily determine. Like, you can look at it, get close to it, do something to determine, is that a fresh-ish mess of some form, or is it something where they've just literally washed it and it just won't come out? Because
Okay,
if it's the latter, that's fine. But if it's the former, obviously that's an issue.
Okay, your guy is showing, as most women will testify to. Once a stain sets, you can't always tell if it's new or old. Sometimes it's hard to tell when something dries. But it was yucky. And it was a yucky start to a visit that just got more and more uncomfortable, because another part of it is when the kids were playing and they wanted to demonstrate a dance that they had learned to the parents. And Ant, the boy with his tongue cut out, was doing it wrong. And up till now, we believe that Ant belongs to the couple. There's no reason we wouldn't believe otherwise. And he is not performing to Patty's satisfaction. And Patty yells at him repeatedly, and the other parents are like, it's okay. They're just having fun. Don't freak out. So much so that Patty ultimately gets up. He grabs Ant's feet and grabs his ankles and starts making him stomp around the way he should. And it is darn right
uncomfortable.
Yeah. So,
but by the way, I'm sorry. You glossed over a point. I'm going to go back before I forget it.
okay.
If the only thing that would make me turn around from a 7-hour trip right away is some stained sheets, the stained sheets are not going to be enough.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying that you would turn around because there were stained sheets, but it kind of, that would be something that would make me question who I was staying with. Because if you invite someone into your home, you put on clean bedding, you put out towels for them, you're a good host. And having clean sheets is the first thing on the checklist, is you don't have yucky, stained, dirty sheets. But the back to Ant and how Patty took his feet and started marching him, and the other parents are like, whoa, 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 this isn't necessary. And even the young girl Agnes got uncomfortable. Gosh, if that was me, and that was definitely a big deal to our visiting family, is where is that line with commenting on how other people interact with their kids? Because there was also an interaction earlier in the film where they're eating, and I'm calling her Ciara, but it might have been Cara. I'm sorry, I don't recall, so forgive me.
Ciara.
Was it Ciara?
Ciara. I think.
Well, I know that's how it's spelled, but I'm trying to remember how they pronounced it. Anyway,
Ciara.
Anyway, she tells Agnes to chew with her mouth closed, and Agnes's mom promptly says, "Don't tell my daughter what to do."
Yeah, you don't do that. You straight up, there's two lines. You either say and do nothing, or you call Child Protective Services.
Because someone told you to chew with your mouth closed?
Well, no, what I'm saying is that's where you draw the line. If you're not willing to call Child Protective Services on something that's happening, you need to keep your mouth shut.
Oh, yeah, and not saying something about
yeah,
someone
and
else's.
which, don't get me wrong, you're going to probably run into plenty of instances where you're like, I don't agree, but
yeah,
I think that is, unfortunately, I think that is a line you don't cross, especially in front of the other parent. Now, if it's maybe you're the only parent around and it's something more major, like, I don't know, roughhousing in a house or something where people could get hurt, sure, yeah, you could say something in that case.
I'm going to disagree with you here because I think it depends on the severity of what's happening. So telling another person's child to chew with their mouth closed, that doesn't fly. However, if a child is in your house and they're doing something that you don't want them to do in your house, I think you have the right to be able to say something to that child. If they're in their own house and you're a visitor, keep your mouth shut. You have no rights at all in someone else's house.
That's actually what I just said. I was like, if you're the only parental person around in your house.
I'm making a point of whose house it is. You're making a point of how many parents there are. So I think we're still talking about different things.
I don't know. You still, if you're around the other parent, and you've got to definitely give that other parent a chance to do something. And if it's dangerous, and they're absolutely not doing anything, eventually, sure, because you want to keep everyone safe. But
I mean, if someone's running around, if some kids are running around my house and they're visiting to my house and I have a glass table and I'm afraid someone's going to fall, or if I have ceramic tile floor and I'm afraid someone's going to fall, like my kid or not, I'm going to say something because they're in my house and they're doing something that's making me uncomfortable that I think is dangerous.
You could give them like
about food. Yeah, absolutely not.
You can give them like a, sweetie, look out for the glass table. Like
you can, but I think
you have a way of nudge parenting
run.
Without actually.
I think you can also say don't run. No running in the house. Like it's your house. They're doing something. And in doing that, you're saying it to your kid too.
Start with the sweetie, look out for the glass table. See if doing that gets you the result that you want.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't, then yeah, maybe you do have to actually get direct. But like, I don't know. I mean, and this is weird that I would have these viewpoints being a non-parent myself. But
no, I see what you're saying. Absolutely.
I think you always give the other parent the chance to be the parent in that situation. So yeah, that was a terrible, horrible look. So
we're talking about basically reprimanding kids, but this movie gets so much more intense. So let's go ahead and dig into some of that, where ultimately Aunt finds a way of communicating with the other child, Agnes, and conveying to her through pictures what's happened and how much danger they're in. And he shows her pictures from past families. And they, at that point, find a way to tell Agnes's parents, and they know they need to get out of there right away and not raise any suspicion because they need to get safely out of the house. So they get out of the house and they're like, yeah, it was so great. We'll have to do this again. This is fantastic. And smiling and just terrified out of their minds. They get to the car and the tire is flat, which obviously Psycho Patty did. And then they fix the tire, and then back to Agnes's support bunny. For some reason, it's mysteriously up in the what's the thing? The drain?
The storm gutters.
Yeah, the gutter up there. Oh, gee, how did that happen? So the dad goes up to get the support bunny, and Patty holds the ladder and kind of, you think he's going to make it fall, which he does kind of goof around a little bit. And they try to get out. They try to save Aunt, and they're not able to. So they're just saying, okay, we'll come back for Aunt. They're headed for the door at the gate, and Patty hits the automatic lock on the gate and pushes Patty into the water that's on the property, some sort of moat or lake or something, and Aunt can't swim.
I think it was the other way. I think what happened
Well,
before they got out, he threw Aunt in the water, which basically gave him the time, because they gave him the time to be able to get to the button to close the gate at that point. And I mean, at that point, I feel like maybe the flat tire does not completely make you, but the bunny does. As soon as you see the bunny in that position, because that's not like, maybe the weirdest of weird things could have happened with the tire. Probably, my suspicions are highly raised at that point, but I'm not saying it's 100%. Once you see the bunny, you know that there is something massively wrong here, and they are desperately trying to keep you here. So at that point, you have to leave under any circumstance. I would have let Aunt drown. I would have, or I would have not known what happened to him, because my number one obligation would have been to my family. And my family was in that car, and I needed to get away. If you could save Aunt, that's great. But I'm not putting my family's life in jeopardy to save a kid I don't know that well, when I know it's not I might be putting my family's life in jeopardy. I know I'm putting my family's life in jeopardy.
So let's fast forward to the end. So at this point, this family is in immediate danger. We spend probably the next 45 minutes of them fighting for their lives, being tormented and hunt down, and at the brink of death. And fast forward to the very, very end. Again, spoilers, folks. We do spoilers here. Everyone ends up all the bad guys end up being killed except for Patty. And they beat Patty and walk away. And Ben, Ben
gets
walks away.
A fentanyl. No, it wasn't fentanyl. It was ketamine. Ketamine
Agnes
shot.
Agnes shot her.
Agnes. Yeah. He was going to use the ketamine on Agnes and them, but she got the syringe and used it on him and completely debilitated him so that he's laying there.
Right. So, but the point being is that the family walked away and was going to leave Patty there. And Aunt, the young boy, realizing and knowing and having watched his parents being killed, because his parents were the previous couple, Aunt won't let that stand. And that young boy takes something, I think it was a brick or something.
Yeah, a rock.
And straddles Patty and smashes his head repeatedly until Patty dies. So what would you do if I was Patty?
You're Patty?
No, I mean, if I was Aunt, I would do that same thing.
If I were
murdered my parents.
If I were any of those family members at that point, like, that's it. You're dead.
Because
I don't want to be wrong, about you being disabled.
Yeah, because you could leave and saying, oh, we'll send the authorities, but you're in the middle of nowhere. By the time you get to somewhere and someone gets back, the drug could have worn off and bad guy Patty could be off doing whatever for another, to another couple. So,
Yeah, you take no chances at this point. You are killing Patty 100%, no question. At that point, like nobody's going to convict you for that. You've been in a crazy situation. He's dead.
Yeah. So what would you do? I would vet people before I stay with them. I would try to stay somewhere else if possible. When I realize my life is in danger, I keep going if I get out, and we will find another emotional support bunny.
Yeah, screw that bunny.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.